Test? Okay, there it is. No, I just had it there and it wasn't connected. In my experience, I tend to get emotional when I'm hungry. And when I say emotional, I tend to get upset, get sad. I start to get in my head. Let me turn this down a little bit. Actually, it's a little bit too much, I think. And I know that. And I acknowledge now. God, that's it. Good evening, Nikla. To my insane mind. This is a kind of stream that I've been wanting to. A series, really. A series in which I kinda just talk about nothing, really. Talk about a certain topic that I want to talk about. Just like a general, vague topic. And I just kind of improvisation kind of thing. I don't remember where this idea came from, but I was lying in bed earlier just because I got back from being outside. And then I was just lying in bed. I wasn't doing anything, I was just really just lying in bed. Then I decided I didn't stream yesterday. I wanted to stream yesterday. I didn't get to stream yesterday. So I wanted to stream, and so I stream. Wise man once said, just go live, just press go live, it's that easy. It really is that easy too. And so I press go live. This is going to be, these rather, are going to be shorter streams. I could do these over the weekend. Maybe it's best I do these over the weekend, just because I can go for longer and I don't know, but I feel like weekend streams are. We will hit go live, this is true, yes. We will hit go live. But it's also the problem of scheduling too. During the weekdays, I don't really have too much free time, but there is some free time. But oftentimes I'm just too tired and I just kind of bed rot all day for the most part with a lot of my free time. Bed rot. Rot. There it is. And I tend to do that on the weekends too. I just lay in bed for hours and I don't do anything. I feel like it's some kind of, not with streaming, but just kind of just burnout in general with just everything that I've been doing, I guess. And I don't know if it's a new thing. Maybe because like almost my entire life I've felt that I've been like a lazy person. I feel like I'm a lazy person. But maybe it's deeper than that. And I'll just say now that there's no need to worry about my existence, my life. I don't intend on doing anything extreme. Though, well, maybe it's normal to think about that kind of thing. About abrupt. It's kind of dark. It's not something that's really comfortable, comfy, a comfy topic, you know? But regardless of that, I'm not planning on dying by my own hand, at least anytime soon. I might die from some other mean. It could be that I just explode spontaneously, or I get a heart attack while I'm running or whatever. I don't know. Either way, it won't be by my own doing, by my own hand. Or I could just live to like 120 and be like be like 60 of those years just be in dementia, dying by friendly fire. Very possible, yeah. I could be riding in someone's car, and then suddenly, what's that word called? Car crash. I don't know. There were two times that. Well, there was one time I almost wrapped myself around a tree, but that was a while ago. I tend to be a safe person though. It's just I tend to get in my head a lot, I feel. Especially more so now, recently, I mean. And part of the reason that sometimes I'll stream at late night, and that's occasionally it's because I'm feeling a certain way, but it's completely unplanned. This is kind of unplanned, but it's also planned at the same time. I've wanted to do these kinds of series, this kind of series, where I just, like I said, I just pick a topic and I just talk for an hour. But there have been times where I'm feeling a certain way, and I'll just start streaming because it helps me genuinely, genuinely. These subtitles are trash, but I might just get rid of them, honestly. I don't know how helpful these subtitles are. I originally got them because I feel like I'm a little bit difficult to understand. There's been cases where I'll be talking to someone or with someone, and I have to repeat myself. And I do feel like streaming has made my speech worse. You would think it's the opposite, but I've had more. I've had trouble speaking. Ever since I started streaming, I can't speak properly. I don't know why that is. But as I was saying, I'll feel a certain way sometimes, and then I start streaming, and then I talk through it, and then by the end of the stream, I feel a lot better. It's something that most people don't do, actually. Rather the opposite. If they don't feel up to streaming, then they just completely cancel streaming. I have a friend of mine that just cancel stream due to mental health issues, but I'm rather the opposite. If I'm feeling something, I just stream. Helps me a lot. It does. Helps me think through it, talk through it. Because in a way, talking through myself, my thoughts, is like writing it down essentially. And that's what I used to do a very long time ago. At this point, like maybe 15 years ago, what I used to do whenever I would feel not, rather, when I would feel suboptimal, I would write it down. I would just write what I was feeling and just write until I felt better. And then some years after that, I started drawing, vent art, vent art. Ish. Vent. Yeah, I might just get rid of these subtitles, honestly, at a certain point. I don't know how helpful they are, really. But I would draw whatever I was feeling. And that helped a lot. And now, I don't really draw as much as I used to, though I feel like I should draw a lot more. But I'm not in a situation where I can draw much yet. 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 But streaming does help a lot. So, all that to preface today's topic, which is emotions and the meaning of life, essentially. I feel that they tie together very strongly. The meaning of not just human life, but all life, rather, is what I think of whenever that topic comes up. And a lot of people have different answers to what life means. And I think that's the correct answer. It's a little bit of existentialism, in which there isn't really any true objective meaning to life. However, that said, this is something that I often say and think about, is that nihilism is partially correct. There is no meaning to life, objectively speaking. The true meaning is what you make of it. Is you have to create your own meaning, and then you follow that. Nihilism is a starting point. Yes, exactly. Good evening, Pascal. This is correct. Nihilism is a starting point. Once you realize that there's no, well, I'll get into that in a little bit, but there actually is an objective, true meaning of life, but very shallow. What is that meaning, you may ask? From in my opinion, the meaning of life is to, as Shinzo Abe says, have sex. Specifically reproduction. Reproduction and the passing on of genes by offspring and that kind of thing. That's what I believe the true meaning of life is. However, it's very simple. And not many people, well, going back to humans now, not many people would really agree with that, but that's what I feel the meaning of all life is. Inclusive of animals, inclusive of plants and fungi and protists and all other living beings on this earth, is reproduction. That is what I believe the meaning of life to be, is reproduction. But when it comes to humans, this is also the case. However, breeding in nowadays. Good evening, Coxton. There is no, aside from that, of course, aside from that, nihilism says that there is no meaning to life, but existentialism says you create your own meaning to life. And so different people have different meanings to their own life, and some people's meaning is their family, their wife, children, whatever. Other people's meaning is to create art, other people's is to help other people, or like help their own causes, further their own causes, and that kind of thing. Not necessarily political, but their own ideals, I guess, their own worldview. AI generating pictures of food. Okay, Gordon Ramsay. This is Does AI have a meaning to its own life? Is AI even alive? If AI is not alive, then are we alive? Because what are we but just following algorithms, right? And such. We are programmed to eat. We are restricted by our own biology, which at the end of the day, DNA really is just biological coding. And it's really quite fascinating how these amino acids come together to create proteins. And it's something that I've thought about a lot in my academic career, for lack of a better term. Amino acids is basically the same as a coding language, and it's very peculiar how that works. Very strange. I've thought about it a lot, but not really the implications. So then does that mean that emotions are coded and to be like a response, maybe? The AI purpose is to make slot for my mom to watch on shorts. I've always been an advocate for AI, but now that it's been widespread, my views on AI have kind of shifted. More than anything, I don't hate AI, it's more I hate the corporatization, if that makes sense, of AI. Of how corporations are pushing AI into everything that we use, including, I don't know, like commercials, including the things that we use every day, like internet, like just everything really. You can't really escape AI anymore. If you use technology, that is, you can be perfectly disconnected from everything, like Amish people, I guess, or live a life without AI. But if you're living in modern day, you kind of have to coexist with AI at the very least. Lots of people doing AI poorly. There's so much slop, yeah. It's There's a lot. Clanker hate. Good morning, Clanker. Rather evening, I guess, in this case. You get the evening. I don't know how long it'll take until AI is given rights. I feel like that's within the realm of possibility within our lifetime, is when, not when, but rather if I should specify, AI is given rights because people think that it becomes sentient or whatever. And when it comes to current AI, I don't think current AI is sentient, but I feel like it might get to a certain point where AI might be considered sentient, maybe, possibly. And then that goes into what is sentience, what is consciousness, that kind of conversation, which is a topic for another day, I suppose. Currently, for this stream, I wanted to focus on the human experience more than anything. What it means to be human, rather, not what it means without including AI and stuff like that. If it happens, it'll be pushed by big corpos so they can treat people as even more disposable. I can completely see that happening, actually. What I really hate about new technologies is when it's used by corporations and militaries for war, basically, the war machine, and the military industrial complex and all that. But that's getting a little political. We're not here for politics, we're here for. I don't want to ruin the punchline. Going back to my. I actually wrote out a little bit of a guide, flash notes. I got this from Brolam actually. And I guess this sort of structure is also inspired by Brolam as well, since he is very. I don't know. He's very creative, I'd say, in what he does and everything that he does, I guess, yeah. He would frequently have these random streams, not unlike this one, and just kind of just talk on a certain topic and have notes on the side to make sure that he got everything that he wanted to get. Because at this point, it's almost maybe I should do these on the weekend. Because I do have a lot still, and I've only just covered like the first bullet point here out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet points. We're already halfway nearly. So going back to the main point, I guess, is that emotions are fairly central to the human experience, and I don't think that AI truly is capable of emotion. They can replicate and kind of mimic emotions, but AI isn't really capable of emotions such as fear and love and that kind of thing. Whereas humans, yeah, going forward, I'm gonna be talking about specifically humans because when I talk about things in general, I tend to speak of all life, inclusive of animals. But I'm not sure if animals are capable of, well, the more basal animals, not like dogs or cats, because clearly dogs and cats are capable of higher emotions such as anger and love. But I'm talking more lower, like maybe, I don't know, like a squirrel. Can a squirrel feel love? Not really. Is a squirrel sentient? Not really. Is a bird sentient? Perchance. There have been many studies on this. This is something that I wanted to study actually. However, life doesn't always work out. And such, I am stuck in a temporary job, we'll say. But I do want to go back to studying avians at some point. That'd be ideal. That'd be my ideal. Perchance. Thematic. But this room is more specific to humans rather, I guess, since you're all humans. Maybe, as far as I know, anyways. And so humans, we have emotions, right? We have emotions such as anger, fear, joy, sadness. I want to say those are like our main emotions. And when I say our, I mean your. So we have the most basal fear, rather. Yeah. The most basal emotion I'd say is fear. Because all animals feel fear. Are animals also capable of these other emotions such as anger, sadness, joy? It kind of depends on the animal. But we do know that rats are capable of feeling happiness as well because they make these little tiny squeaks. And we know that dogs and cats are also capable of feeling joy and anger, I guess, when you annoy them too much. And sadness of is another emotion that is very common, I suppose. among higher beings, anyways. Like elephants mourn their dead, right? Crows mourn their dead. Lots of birds will mourn dead. And so I do believe that, no, rather, I do know, I should specify that many animals are capable of emotions similar to us. They might not experience emotions in the same manner that we do, but they are certainly capable of feeling similar emotions to fear, anger, joy, sadness. Which I believe brings us to this meme, yes? This meme. And by meme, I mean an idea that is transmissible throughout society and culture. That's what the original meaning of the word meme is, anyways. There's a contrast to the word gene, which is genetic, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know how else to define gene other than it's biological, internal. Whereas, yeah. So a gene, trying to gather all my things here. It's been a while. A gene is a piece of information that is inside of our cells, I guess, that is transmissible vertically. Whereas a meme is an idea that could be transmissible throughout society. So this is a meme in the sense of the classical meaning, anyways. We have our food, water, shelter, warmth, our physiological needs that everyone knows. So if we don't have these basal needs, then we may have anger, we might have sadness, we might have fear. We don't know when our next meal is coming. We don't know if we're gonna make it to tomorrow. If that'd be fear, for example. But assuming all those are achieved, you reach the next level, which is security. So this is job security. You have money, safety, and once you have that, the next step up is your social, I guess. And a lot of people get stuck here. A lot of people tend to get stuck after security, I feel. Well, I guess in current day, there's gonna be lots of financial stress as well, so many people are gonna be like towards the bottom in current day. And we're never gonna make it to the top. I'm terrible. Make it fit. We have a little fun here. Yes. So basal emotions are all things that all things have. And in most animals, what you might perceive as anger is actually just fear. I feel like I'm teaching now. When I taught classes, yes, I used to be a teacher. I'd often be very often it's been so long since I've done that, but also I'm forgetting words as well. Anxious, I'd be anxious about the students in that I always, well, I guess after I got confirmation that, multiple confirmation rather, that I'm not a great teacher, so that kind of was also another reason why I don't really see myself as being a teacher, because I'm not a leader. I can be if I need to be, but I feel like my role in society is more of a support character, if not comedic relief. And you know what they say about clowns? They tend to be the saddest people. Not that I am. Not saying that I am. In my life. What's that song? It doesn't matter. I should have. Maybe I should just. Hmm. Well, that brings me to the halfway point, I guess, yeah. In social, we have a need of belonging, essentially. This need for love, essentially, I guess. But what is love? What is love? It's a song. And then we also think of, I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. Another song. And so, this theme of love being a very unknown, mysterious concept is very prevalent in our society. And many of us will feel it at one point or another in their lives. To be a clown, one must first laugh at himself. This is true. However, there are some people that overdo it, I feel, that take it too far with the self depreciating humor. Depreciating? Deprecating? Whatever. Same thing. Humor that puts himself down. It's fine every once in a while, but there's some people that take it way too far, and you just know that it's basically like a call for help, basically. At least that's how I interpret it. I remember, and I've told this story before a few times, but I was at a party years ago, back when I talked to more people. I will hate me and you can't stop me. I guess ultimately I can't. I can't fix anyone. No one can fix me. And that's how it is. People have tried. Both friends and non-friends. And family and non-family. But at this point, I think it's kind of too late. And the only person that can fix me is me. The only person that can fix you is you. It all comes down to whether you want to change. So with this person at the party, I guess it was a sort of cry out of desperation. I don't know if he had ever been drunk before, but he was a very young person, we'll say. Not like child. He wasn't a child, but like a young adult, we'll say. And he ended up getting extremely drunk to the point where he's already crying. And I remember one line that stuck with me is he said he always would joke about killing himself. But then he said, it's not actually a joke. And it was he was just like crying his eyes out basically. And then he ended up throwing up not too long after because he was extremely drunk. And I will admit there's been sometimes, maybe on stream, maybe not on stream, where I've gotten so drunk that I've gotten a little too emotional. And that's how you know that I've drank too much, is when that happens. Because normally I'm not very emotional. But that did happen just kind of proves to myself that yes, I am human. Because a lot of the time I'll feel like I can't really relate to humanity at large. But that just means that I'm kind of broken. In some ways, I guess. In some way or another. So this goes back to loving yourself, I guess. You are very human. What is human? What is love? And many other questions that we might never know the answers to. The great debate continues. I've seen many of your drinking streams. How? But I haven't. Did you? There's maybe like two where I've actually like gotten that bad, but what is a man? What has he got? But a miserable pile of secrets. I do plan on playing that game at some point. It's just I gotta get through the first couple games. Cause my brain will not let me play straight into Symphony. Then I need to play the other games first. But I will stream Symphony at a certain point. I do like doing drinking streams because I feel more genuine. I feel uncapped, I guess. But I'm saving that. We're not going to be drinking until December. For reasons I'll say at a certain point in the future. I got this light in front of my face and it's hurting my eyes. But if I turn it off, maybe it's fine. Yeah, okay, it's fine. Never mind. I can drop the light. I can be more or less comfortable. I do gotta sleep in like 20 minutes though, but I have a lot of notes here, but I don't really like to, at least when it comes to streaming, I don't really like to stick to a script. It feels too cold, I guess. It feels unnatural. It feels more like I'm presenting more than anything, and it's not that I'm bad at presenting. I just can't really. I guess I need practice with presenting. Is what I. Let's turn to the lights. I turned off the light. It's fine. Light is off. The most. I don't want to say more important, but the most prevalent emotion in our society might actually be love or a lack thereof. And it's quite, I'm not gonna say funny, but interesting how love can shape us from a very young age. Starting with parental love, I guess. And it kind of feels like a flowchart wherein if you get love, you know what love is, you know what it feels like, you know what it should look like. And so you go on to live a relatively normal, healthy life. On the other hand, if you don't experience love from your parents at a very young age, then you don't really know what love is supposed to be like, what it's supposed to feel like, what it is. It's something that is very difficult to learn later in life, I feel. Might be one of those things. I fall into the second category, I feel. But maybe that's normal. It's not common. It's not to be taken for granted that everyone has a normal upbringing with both parents that express their love, I guess. Because when I think about it now, I guess my parents loved me, but they never really showed it. I think, maybe. I don't know. But the stream isn't really about me. Except it is. But I don't like to talk about myself very much. Or my personal life, I guess. But this brings the topic into it, I guess. And it's kind of tied to what I've been feeling, I guess. Because we all, at the end of the day, we all strive for love. To love or to be loved is what all humans really seek, I guess. Most normal humans, anyways. Most normal people. And there are a lot of people that will go their entire life without anyone, I guess. And I don't know if it I don't know if it's propaganda or if it's just biological hardwiring to want a partner. Because again, this is going back to the meaning of life, right? Wherein the objective meaning of life is just sex and offspring. And so I suppose evolution, we evolved the emotion of love to facilitate that somehow. This is the problem with the more scientifically inclined, is that we are determined to see things through a more objective lens, but some things can't really be objective. Like we want to quantify it's very silly, but we want to quantify love and other such emotions. Like we can feel hunger on a scale, on a spectrum rather. Like, yeah, I'm a little hungry. I'm not really hungry. I'm very hungry. I'm so hungry I could eat a super creek. But do we experience love on the same spectrum? Love on the spectrum, now that's a show. If anything, it took a whole lot of propaganda and social engineering to make people less inclined to get together and have kids. I guess you're right, yeah. So then the natural state of humans is to nuclear family then, I suppose. Extended family and all that. Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right. It's just a very complex topic that I'll admit I have struggled to understand for the very longest time. And my family member on something that has stuck with me for a very long time is that a family member said that I'm very weird. And this is true for many reasons. I'm always trying to find the objective meaning in a lot of different things, but because I have a lack of knowledge and experience, so to speak, with the reality of love, whatever that means, I do understand now that there are different types of love, maybe, probably. Like, for example, the love that you feel towards a pet is different from the love that you feel towards a parent, is different from the love that you feel towards a partner, I guess. I guess. Right? I do understand that the love that you feel for a non-human is different from the love that you feel for a human, but what exactly is the difference between familial love and romantic love? What is romantic love? That's basically the crux of what the stream is, I guess. Does anyone really know what love is? I suppose most people do, actually, if they've ever had a romantic partner, which my immersion, yes, I've had in the past. However, I never really understood what it entails. Give me Pipwife and I will find out. Maybe. And this also kind of is related to this. Do you do you believe that there is a basal instinct for reproduction that kind of drives our behaviors? Also known as the biological clock, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at. Which many females feel. However, many males also feel. Humans, that is. And maybe it's this strong instinct to breed that is kind of the at the core of love, I guess. Which is the ideal, right? Ideally, you would love the person that you're gonna make a family with, but sometimes the other emotion wins out, which is lust. I don't know if that's an emotion. That's another thing that is difficult to disentangle. Is the difference between lust and love. And for some people, it's very clear. For other people, not so much. Funny thing, I don't even think about breeding. I think I could spend my life with this person. Hmm? That's the, that's essentially what I'm trying to figure out in the background, I guess, is this interaction between love and sex, I guess. It's a very complex and complicated, that's the same word, intricate, woven, interwoven, two different, distinct things, love and sex. Which ideally should overlap, right? But in many cases, they don't. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is why, or rather, what. I don't know. I don't even know what my question is anymore. What is the difference between love and lust? How do you. How are they mutually exclusive, I guess? I don't know. It's like a random guy that will like fall in love with a prostitute or like a stripper, for example, right? That's something I don't really have an answer to. Because you can have love and sex. but you can have love without the sex, and you can have sex without the love. I don't know what the point is anymore. I guess we can go to the next bullet, yeah. Love. Is love necessary? Not for most. Love isn't necessary for sex, for breeding. However, going back to the animal kingdom, love will, pair bonding specifically in this case, in which you have a partner, pair bonding is relatively rare in the animal kingdom. Like, it's non-existent in arthropods, for example. You don't have crabs that just like are together for life, right? But you will see maybe birds, I guess. Some birds, for example, will pair bond, and they'll be with each other for most of their life. However, this system is not impervious. And so we get into this thing called cheating, which is not exclusive to humans, as I'm sure you might already be aware of. Something that happens very often. As for why it happens, probably because sex just feels too good, I don't know. A lot of different reasons why people might do that kind of thing. But like I said, cheating isn't exclusive to humans, it's a part of the animal kingdom. For example, in nature, there'll be female birds that will choose the bird that has the strongest genes, like the brightest feathers or like the longest tail. And this female bird will mate with the superior male and then lay eggs. And then go out and find another male unrelated to that other superior male and have that male basically take over and care for the young. And this seems to be a very common behavior in the animal kingdom, at least amongst birds, where the female will dupe the male, so to speak, I guess. And then on the other side, however, there's males that will go out and mate with every single possible female. Like in the case of lions, for example, where lions have a harem. And will kill any other male except for its own young. And it'll get so territorial that this male lion will even go so far as to kill the young of other male lions, such that its own population is only its own family, I guess, with multiple lionesses and multiple cubs. So that's all to say that what's that word again? Extra pair? I think it's called extra pair. Basically, mating outside of monogamy, I guess. And so humans are not an exception to this. Monogamy is not exclusive to humans either. It's something that is very helpful, for sure. But what do I know? Not much. I know what I've been taught in classes when it comes to animals. I just extrapolate that to humans Because what are humans but animals? Ah, it's almost at an hour. Yes, application of general biology to humans. That's what I do. I've sped through the rest of this, actually. I've hit most points that I wanted to hit, actually. And I'm sure everyone has heard about the story of Grape Coon, wherein there was this penguin that had a partner, and then that female penguin left the Grape Coon for another penguin. And then this penguin fell into a very, very sad state until this cardboard standee of one of friends penguin was taken into this enclosure. Very famous story. It's a story that I like a lot. So animals do have emotions. However simple they might be. And just like with emotions such as love, fear, anger, emotions are not exclusive to humans. Just like sexuality isn't exclusive to humans, if you didn't know that. There are cases of homosexuality within the animal kingdom, and some people may dispute that. But that's another topic for another day. For now, what we all strive for, I believe, is happiness and love. Whatever that might mean to you, because everyone's definition of happiness is different. Everyone's definition of love may be different as well. And when it comes to happiness, happiness and sadness may be two sides of the same coin. And it's often said that without sadness, we wouldn't know happiness. Would you agree or disagree? I don't know. Me personally, I don't know about currently, but previously in the past, I would have said that I would rather be completely emotionless than have to feel sadness. And quite frequently, this is what SSRIs do. Medications that treat depression specifically is that they kind of leave you in a supposedly, apparently, zombie state wherein you don't really feel much of anything. And I was okay with this because at the time, not anymore, anguish was so much that I would rather just feel nothing. And when it comes to happiness, to this day, I feel that my baseline for happiness is very low, I guess, or high. That is to say that I don't really experience happiness too strongly, which is kind of unfortunate. But I do feel it, just not strongly or for very long. Most of the time, I don't really feel too much. And then sometimes I'll feel a lot to the point where I don't understand what I'm feeling. And then I will realize, oh, I haven't eaten. I'm hungry. That's why I'm feeling weird. But before I have now learned that my negative moods, I guess, are mostly just caused by this triangle here. It's because I'm hungry. That's why I'm feeling upset. I haven't drank anything. I haven't drank any water. That's why I have a headache. That's why it's making me just be in bed all day. But sometimes I don't have a headache and I just lay in bed anyways. Which kind of brings it back to burnout, I guess. Which is what I talked about last stream. Not last stream, but the last introspective. Is officially at the 1 hour mark. And I have hit all of the topics that I wanted to hit. I made really good time, I'd say. Although the stream did feel kind of messy. I did talk about most of what I wanted to talk about. How am I feeling now? I'm still hungry. Even though I ate a little bit just before stream, and now I'm hungry again. But I gotta sleep as well. So I'm gonna finish, rather, yeah, I'm gonna finish what leftover I have, and then try to sleep. I do want to stream, not tomorrow, but overmorrow, on Friday evening. As for what I'm gonna stream, I don't know. But I do want to stream more consistently again. Because I do enjoy streaming. It's fun. It helps with, I don't know what it helps with, but it helps, I feel. It's nice. It feels nice. These kinds of conversations I also think that are very, maybe not helpful for, yeah, more than anything, it helps me sort out myself, I feel. Whatever I feel. But I did want to talk about love and life for some time now. Something that I'm not gonna say struggle with, but I don't really understand. And I want to understand. I want to, as the song says, I want to know what love is. It's a very mysterious idea. Wise man once said, "This too shall pass." Whatever that means. Thank you, Clanker. Thank you, Cogston. Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Clanker. Eat some food. Eat some water. Get your vitamin D. All very vital to happiness, I feel. Food. You need to have, there it is. You need to have your basil. At the very least, you need your food, water, and those things before you can ascend, essentially. That said, my mental has been much, much worse in the past. But I've improved a lot, I'd say. Currently, I'm kind of just cruising. I don't know how to end. So I'm just gonna go to sleep. And you should also go to sleep. Because sleep is one of the physiological needs. if it's time to sleep anyways. You need to build a very routine sleeping habits. Those are very important as well. And maybe I'll talk about mental health on another stream. But I have an entire list of ideas that I want to talk about. Don't worry, I will come back and revisit Maslow's triangle, I suppose. And we'll talk about food and physiological needs and stuff like sleep. I'll plan that out at another point, but for now, have a good night.